have to say, I love your look in the film. Did
Cool.
you help design it?
I did, yeah. Rick and I got together and, over pictures and a lot of documentation that he had from a previous film called Felon, where he actually worked as a parole officer in prisons and had worked with gangsters and Hell's Angels and all kinds of interesting characters. And this was a look that he thought would be very authentic. And because an agent like Billy Cooper, who has a military past and then transfers into undercover work with the Hell's Angels, would have to have, this sort of this look, the sleeves, the tattoos, and the goatee to hide himself in that world and be, as immersed as he needs to be for that work. And so, yeah, it was an authentic look for sure.
Well, you're a perfect choice because you've played so many soldiers. Was it surprising to you to see that so many of them transition into law enforcement like this, undercover law enforcement?
It's not really that common knowledge to the average citizen, but these guys are trained killers, and they're only trained to kill. They're not trained to unkill. That nobody shows them how to put the lion back in the cage, and so they come back and they have they've seen just so much that human beings are capable of, and it's so horrific what they do for a living that it's very difficult to come back and just be a normal functioning family man. And so they find
this is a good outlet, right?
Well, it's outlet, but it's also like, this is what I do. This is what I've been trained to do. Much like me, what could I do? I've been trained to do this. I mean, what I transfer into.
Well, also, one of the big themes of the film is that the justice system has become an organization that takes no prisoners. And your character helps really portray that. But yet you made him very sympathetic. How did you break it down?
Well, he's been obviously desensitized by this life that he's led. And so he tries to distance himself emotionally from an undercover informant like John, Dwayne's character, and just doesn't want to engage, doesn't want to be swept up into this intricate web of lies that is created by the whole system of the mandatory minimum sentencing, where an informant like this has to go undercover and use coercion and lies and manipulation to achieve his goals. And the U.S. Attorney's Office is doing the same thing. They're coercing him, and they're coercing me, and everybody's lying to everyone else, and that's really the problem with the system. And so Cooper, he's wrapped up in this, he's caught up in this, but he has to kind of, remain impartial until he sees that John is so far down the rabbit hole, has invested himself so deeply, and really has all of their lives in the balance. He realizes that this guy's serious, and I need to help him.
Last question, okay? What was it like telling The Rock what to do?
Yeah. Well, I often tell this story that I'm 170 pounds soaking wet, and he's massive. He's Mount Rushmore, and you have to kind of put him in his place, and that was only possible because he was so invested in his character, who is this humble, average American dad and is just completely out of his depth. And so, it's a two-way street. He knows that Cooper's in charge and that he is totally out of his element as the character he's playing. And so it's a symbiotic thing that it comes to life. But you don't know whether a guy like Dwayne is going to come in and have the same persona as The Rock, or is he going to be able to immerse himself? And he was just so dedicated to this film. I was really impressed.